an age-old practice making a modern-day comeback. Mouldboard ploughing was first used centuries ago. A 30-centimetre layer of soil is turned to become topsoil. Weeds, weed seed and non-wetting soil are all buried. Subsoil, often containing clay and less water resistant, is brought to the top. A spread of lime helps restore soil pH. Grower Stuart Smart is a convert.
It really is huge, and it's quite hard to fathom sometimes.
At Mininu, southeast of Geraldton in Western Australia, Stuart's family has worked this sand plain land for generations. 22,000 hectares, almost all of it arable, and producing a bumper crop.
This year is a very good season for us. We'll do above average for sure. So I would expect to see probably 600 kilo difference this year.
That difference, says Stuart, is largely thanks to mouldboard ploughing.
The mouldboarding, there's no doubt, has probably increased our yields at a minimum of 10%. But in some stages we're seeing 30–40% increase in yields just because we don't have that weed competition anymore, and we're also getting major benefits from turning that soil over with mineralisation of nutrient and fertilisers we could never obtain before in that non-wetting band. To date, we've actually mouldboarded 9,000 hectares. The plan is to only turn it once every 10 years.
This is Stuart's third mouldboard plough, his first purchased back in 2010. And since then, the yields have increased and the weeds have reduced. But mouldboard ploughing is not for everyone.
I have had a lot of people say that, it's really anti what we've been trying to do. You're turning the soil upside down when in an era of no-till is not really on.
Science too is cautious.
The results aren't consistent everywhere, so the real trick to using mouldboard ploughing is to find the right situation for it. So on our non-wetting sandy soils with herbicide-resistant weeds and acid subsoils, fantastic fit. However, there are situations where you don't want to mouldboard plough because you may be bringing up soil that has characteristics that you don't want, perhaps boron toxicity or really sticky clay or something like that. So there's certainly finding the right situation is the key to its success.
Stuart's ploughs are now packed away, awaiting next season's workload.
Our aim each year now that we've got the two ploughs, is to do a minimum of 3,000 hectares a year.
Costing up to $180,000, these machines are a carefully considered investment and require a modified seeder.
You do have to have a proper seeding unit for it. You can't go in with a conventional bar, they're too heavy and they sink. Your seed placement is shot, and so you need to go to something that's very lightweight and will just give it that firming pack that it requires. So we've gone a couple of different ways. In the first year we tried the air hoe drills and that didn't work. We went to coil packing in front and then the air hoe drill, and that didn't work. So we then went to the coil packer with a little seeding boot called a Agmore boot, made in WA here, and it's a plastic type of boot, and it basically just bends backwards and forwards and sows it at about 10 to 15 mil, which is pretty perfect.
Erosion, though, is a serious risk unless soil inversion and sowing are done the same day. As with all tillage practices, timing is the key. And in the days before no-till farming systems, erosion was one of farming's biggest problems. Right now, Stuart's investment, around $70 a hectare, is paying off for him.
It's cheaper than a spray, and we can correct a paddock in 1 year, which would take us 5, maybe 8 years with chemical trying to do that same thing, and we'd never be able to tackle the non-wetting side of it. Chemical will never fix that.
Certainly that's the case now. However, GRDC is investing in research to correct non-wetting soils through chemical application. But questions remain about the use of mouldboarding because research, unlike the practice, is quite new.
If we talk about non-wetting soil, we know that the soil is non-wetting because it has wax coating the sand grains, and we are burying that and bringing up wettable soil, which is great in the short term. We're concerned that perhaps that it will stay non-wetting at depth for a long time. Theory and research tells us so far that we think that the microbes, the bugs, the bacteria will eat that wax off that soil in time, but we just can't say that with confidence now. Burying weed seeds, we know that for some of the grasses, particularly ryegrass, that seed that we bury will rot in just a couple of years. We know that for wild radish there's some work done that shows that it can last longer when it's placed at depth, and that there may be a few % of weed seeds left up in 10 years' time if we bring them back up.
Also, some export markets are sensitive to large carbon footprints, and fuel-hungry mouldboard ploughs are certainly that.
The good news is that we're only doing it every 10 or 15 or even 20 years. Some growers say they just want to do it once and then they want to sell the thing and that's it. So it does have a big carbon footprint, but we should be able to average that out over 10 years or so. Growers that are thinking about getting into mouldboard ploughing, the first thing they need to do is understand what's in their subsoil, and they need to understand, is that going to be a subsoil that you want to bring up? And they need to work with soil scientists and their agronomists. And then the first thing to do really is to trial it on their farm if it hasn't been done in their district.
For grower Stuart Smart, there's no turning back. This practice from the past is firmly a part of his future.